UFC 304, Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blaydes is a rematch. This is actually pretty fucking exciting. I think this might be a bit more exciting than the main event. And fuck John Jones, he's a pussy ass nigga.
I hate you.
What's up guys, thank you for watching my newest video. We're doing another analysis video on this upcoming matchup that is tomorrow. I should have done this earlier, but I was procrastinating a bit. It is what it is, let's fucking move on. So here we're looking at the stats right here. Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blaydes. Not too much of an age difference. You have Tom Aspinall, who's slightly younger than Curtis Blaydes. I guess you could say that Curtis Blaydes has a bit of an... He's definitely more experienced in his career. I believe he's been in the UFC since 2016. Tom Aspinall showed up in the UFC post-COVID. So it gives you an idea on how long these guys have been around. And like I said, Curtis Blaydes is definitely the more experienced man. So if we're talking reach, once again, a slight advantage for Curtis Blaydes. 80 inches over Tom Aspinall's 78, or yeah, 80 inches over Tom Aspinall's 78 inches, which Tom Aspinall is the boxer, so you'll probably see him, you'll probably see Aspinall kind of paying attention more to like the range and things like that. But Curtis Blaydes does have that 2-inch reach advantage, and he has pretty good stand-up as well, so you could see him utilize it. We'll see what happens. So, strikes landed per minute. I mean, first off, let's look at that right there. Tom Aspinall's 7.72 strikes landed per minute as opposed to Curtis Blaydes' 3.53. It's obvious to see where Aspinall shines, and he does have some superb boxing. His speed is unrivaled in the UFC, or in the UFC heavyweight division, so it makes sense for him to try and utilize that. Now let's look at this stat right here, takedowns average. So Curtis Blaydes has, on average, 5 takedowns per 15 minutes, as opposed to Aspinall's 3.4 takedowns per 15 minutes. Obvious, I mean, Curtis Blaydes is definitely a strong wrestler. That's like his main weapon that he likes to use against his opponents. So it would make sense why he has 5.7 takedowns on average. But Aspinall's 3.4 takedowns on average, that is definitely interesting, along with the fact that he has a 100% takedown accuracy. So this guy definitely goes for quality. His father was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, so it would make sense that he has that tool in his game. Oh, this actually surprises me right here. I mean, I guess it would make sense when you watch these guys' fights, but Curtis Blaydes' submission average, he averages on 0 submissions when he does take you down and hold you down. While Aspinall, once again, his dad was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, so it would make sense for him to have this up his game. He averages 1.7 submissions per 15 minutes. Curtis Blaydes is a wrestler, but he's definitely more of a ground and pound guy, and he likes to focus on maintaining the position on you and just wearing you out. Tom Aspinall is definitely more of a finisher. You see that with how many strikes he likes to land. You see that with the accuracy for his takedown, showing that he does kind of go more for results with it. And he has a pretty good submission average as well. Shows you what his imperatives are once he gets you down to the ground. So let's talk about this fucker's strengths right here. You know, Mr. Tom Aspinall. What the fuck is going on, Manchester? Yeah, that dude has some serious charisma for sure. I wish I could have the fucking smooth tongue that this guy is. Mister, have you ever been fingered by a UFC fighter? I don't know if I could ever riz up a chick like that, but it's cool, bro. I mean, I'm also not 6'5". I'm a fucking beast, and I have an entire country behind me. But going on to this man's strengths. Firstly, like I said, it really is kind of an X factor for Aspinall in particular. It's his speed. He's the fastest in the heavyweight division. His ability to cover distance, his ability to get out of distance, his hand speed, it's insane. Not to mention his reflexes, dude. Honestly, with all these things in mind, you would honestly be considering if Tom Aspinall is the black one out of these two, because bro got that nigga speed for real. He uses it very well, and like I said, in the heavyweight division, where you got like a bunch of big, plotty heavyweights like to just swing for the fucking fences, that is huge. Reflexes, hand speed, being able to cover and exit distance, he has it all in terms of that aspect. Secondly, he is well-rounded. As I said before, his father was a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think he said he's been training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu since he was like 6 or 7 years old. So, I mean, having that kind of base that early in your lifetime, it's a good tool to have. It's a good thing to have in your back pocket, and I think You see in the way he fights as well, how precise and how accurate he is when he goes into the grappling exchanges. Yeah, dude, and on top of that, like I said, coupled with his speed, coupled with his boxing, it just makes him such a fucking threat, dude, seriously. With the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, with the good hands, and not to mention he has a solid fucking low kick as well. He has a good leg kick. He was landing it on Blaydes a couple times before that knee injury. He was landing it on Pavlovich as well, although he did get clipped once. But he has a good set of tools in his arsenal. He has some good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, good takedowns along with the submission. He got Volkov with the Kimura. Good boxing. He could knock you out cold, which leads into the third strength that he has, his finishing ability. Whether it's the grappling or the boxing, there's a good chance that if you're going in that realm with him, you could get finished there. He could knock you out cold. He could spark you out cold with the boxing. With the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he isn't just going to hold you there. He isn't just going to fucking layer prey. The man is actually going for a finish. The man's looking for Kimuras. The man's looking for ground and pound. The man's looking for a rear naked choke. This guy will actually try to finish you depending on, no matter where you're going in the fight. That makes him a very entertaining fighter, but on top of that, it could give him some weaknesses. And now for his first weakness, he has never gone the full distance in the UFC. If you look at this guy's record, none of his fights have ever made it past the second round. He usually knocks them out or submits them, unless we're talking about that outlier, which was the first Curtis Blaydes match where he got that knee injury like 15 seconds into the first round. But either way, this guy's never made it to the fucking judges' scorecards before. He doesn't really let the judges handle that shit. He takes it into his own hands. And on one end, I put that as a strength, but on the other hand, it could also be a weakness, because this is going to be a championship fight right here. This is for the interim heavyweight title, meaning that it could go at least 5 rounds. And he's going against an opponent who's very experienced in Curtis Blaydes. Curtis Blaydes has plenty of experience going to 3 rounds. He's gone to 5 rounds. He can win by decision if he has to. So this could be a weakness for Aspinall, especially in the aspect of his conditioning. What's his cardio like? What's he going to look like once he gets to the 3rd round? I mean, statistically speaking, we would probably want to lean it more towards Blaydes, because Blaydes actually has experience going to the 3rd and 5th round. But Aspinall, we'll see. This could definitely be a very big test for him. We'll definitely learn a lot more about what his strengths and weaknesses are after this fight. Secondly, we have not really seen him on bottom yet. And once again, he is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, so who knows, maybe he will have some tools up his sleeve that he could use. Because of his finishes, though, we haven't really seen him in that position. Curtis Blaydes is a guy that's looking to put him there. Curtis Blaydes has nasty ground and pound. His nickname is Blaydes because of his elbows. His elbows are like fucking razor blades when he's hitting you on top of them shits. He'll cut you open, he'll beat you up, he'll grind you out, and he'll tire you out. Blaydes will look to put him on the bottom, pause, and he'll look to just, make it a dirty fucking fight where Aspinall is really going to be draining his energy trying to work to get back on, to try and get back up to his feet. Thirdly, this could be a bit of a mental weakness. Once again, a lot of these weaknesses that I'm throwing on for Aspinall are a bit of unknowns, because he's a very sensational fighter, and I think he's gained a lot of popularity with the fans, especially the UK ones. And on top of that, people just want to see this dude spark fucking John Jones out. Okay, I mean, some of it is also on the other end, John Jones hate. So you have you have guys that hate Jones so much that they want to see Aspinall win. But in reality, this dude came in post-COVID. None of his fights have gone past the 2nd round. I think it's safe to say that we truly don't know too much about this guy yet. And so when he's going against somebody that he lost to before on paper in Curtis Blaydes, it could definitely be a bit of a mental factor, I guess you could say. But we really have no way of knowing for sure until tomorrow, until fight day or fight night. It's gonna be fucking fight day for these guys because they're waking up at 5 a.m., but it'll be fight night for us. We will like I said though, Tom Aspinall, very interesting fighter, has so much potential, very high talent ceiling, but we definitely need to learn more about him. We need to see what he's like going to full distance. We need to see how he's going to work when he's on bottom, and we need to see how he can handle adversity when he's going against somebody that he lost to in the past. If we're talking about keys to victory, he should obviously lean into his strengths. He should go for the quick finish. I mean, I think it definitely worked more for Aspinall if he finished Blaydes in the 1st or 2nd round rather than taking it out to 5 rounds, you know? I mean, it makes it for a quick night for him. He's probably going to take less damage, And yeah, it's where he shines, bro. When he has those explosive highlights, when he's not making it a long ass fucking night. Secondly, keep it on the feet. Use his boxing. His speed advantage is going to be the X factor in this. The athleticism definitely matters in combat sports. Like learning the difference between being a martial artist and an athlete is very useful, and I think you should definitely discern the two. But athleticism matters, bro. Why do you think these guys are popping for roids, bro? Why do you think fucking these motherfuckers are juicing up on all the EPO, all the fucking trend? Well, that's more of a bodybuilder thing. But these guys are taking performance-enhancing drugs for a reason, and that's because athleticism most definitely matters. If Aspinall were to utilize his speed advantage, use it in the boxing, use it in a spot where Curtis Blaydes isn't going to be as strong as him, that's going to be the easiest and most simplest route to victory. It'll be the path of least resistance, using the boxing, using his speed, and just going for a quick finish. Now we're going to the man, Curtis Blaydes, Mr. fucking strong-ass jawline over here. I actually like Curtis Blaydes. He seems like a genuine nice dude. Not to mention that he also trains out of Colorado, which I have been very interested in traveling there for a while. But he just seems like a chill dude. He doesn't really seem like he doesn't talk too much shit. He focuses more on the task at hand, and he's just a let's get down to business kind of guy. He's a fighter's fighter. And honestly, it's pretty hard to hate on the dude, seriously. One of his biggest strengths is obviously his wrestling. He has very good pressure. I think he was like a D1 wrestler or something. And yeah, I mean, you've seen it in the past how useful a wrestling base can be for a fighter, how much of a competitive edge it gives them, how it can kind of help them dictate and control where the fight is going to take place, as long as of course you're able to close distance. But Curtis Blaydes' wrestling is going to be one of the biggest strengths for him coming into this fight. His pressure, probably for him to just shoot chain takedowns as well, and not to just, because I believe once again his accuracy on the takedowns was 66%, so he's not gonna land every fucking takedown he shoots. But if he just does it consistently, if he keeps on like just mixing it up, giving Aspinall new looks, giving him always just something to work for, I think it could definitely help. Not to mention with his ground and pound as well. Once he gets Aspinall, if he gets Aspinall on the ground, how is he going to leverage the fact that he's on a top position? I mean, Blaydes has some sick ground and pound, bro. He has some nasty fucking elbows. So it'd be really cool to see how Aspinall would be able to handle the wrestling pressure of Curtis Blaydes. Secondly, his experience. He debuted in 2016. I believe his first fight, unfortunately, was against Mr. Ngannou. And we know how insane Ngannou's power is. We know how much of a fucking nuclear bomb that motherfucker was. So it's safe to say getting Francis Ngannou for a UFC debut isn't exactly your best stroke of luck. But that being said, I mean, yeah, like I said, he has a lot of experience, way more experience in the UFC than Tom Aspinall, being in there since 2016. And if we're looking at his losses as well, he doesn't really have too many. I mean, he has the 2 losses to Francis Ngannou, of course. But aside from that, I believe the only people he's lost to in the UFC were Derek Lewis and Sergey Pavlovich. And the Derek Lewis one was, I'm a huge fan of Derek Lewis, but Blaydes was winning that shit up until that nasty uppercut. I won't say that it's lucky, because Derek Lewis did say after the fight that Curtis Blaydes has a habit of shooting takedowns down from the hip, and he was able to predict that and exploit that with a nasty counter uppercut. So I will say that from a technical and tactical perspective, it was not a fluke, but Blaydes was winning that fight before the knockout. So I mean, Blaydes, good experience. He doesn't lose too often. He has a solid fucking win streak as well. This dude probably could have been fighting for a title a long ass time ago if he didn't just, have these little road bumps to happen and get in your way. But it's cool. I mean, he's in the position now, and he just has to make the most of it on Saturday night. And not to mention, he has gone 3 to 5 rounds. I mentioned this before. Tom Aspinall's fights never left the second round. Curtis Blaydes, he's been in 5-round fights. He's been to decisions before. He has more experience in the UFC, and he just has more experience in terms of rounds and octagon time. So he should definitely lean into that going into this fight, I would say. Thirdly, his decent striking. I think his decent striking, obviously, well, I wouldn't say it's on the level of Aspinall's. I would say that combined with his wrestling pressure, it makes him for a very well-rounded, lethal threat. He's good at mixing the stand-up with the grappling. when working with his coach did mention that they focus a lot on getting better footwork and learning how to position themselves better for shots, which you can see in his fights. He has a good stance. He's good at mix. He's good with combinations. I'd say he's really good at setting up his strikes. And he's a decent striker. Mix it in with his heavy, crazy fucking wrestling. It just makes him a big threat. And now for his weaknesses. I said this earlier, he has been knocked out before. He's been sparked out fucking cold, as you've seen in that picture right there, post Derek Lewis fight. He's taken some nasty shots from Francis Ngannou. He's taken some nasty shots from Derek Lewis. He's taken some crazy shots from Sergey Pavlovich. So the question is, how does this wear and tear affect his chin? How could it affect his chin against a dude who has lightning fast hands and solid boxing in Tom Aspinall? How is his chin going to hold up once he takes a good shot from this guy? We will find out soon, but it definitely isn't a good look when, yeah, all three of his losses in the UFC have technically come by knockout, or all three of the guys that he lost to in the UFC, they knocked him out. So going against a knockout artist with, power in his hands could be a bit troublesome. We will see. Secondly, he is fighting in Manchester. He's fighting in his enemy's backyard. That could be a bit of a mental thing. I mean, just watching the UFC press conference, these fans are fucking insane. They're definitely, obviously, very heavily favor the fighters that are representing them. And, they'll, almost similar to how the Brazilian fans are, they'll basically just shit on anybody that isn't with them. They don't even have to be like on Colby Covington levels of fucking hating. They just have to be against the guy that they're repping, and that's enough for them to just act like some assholes, bro. I was thinking about it. MMA fans can be pretty toxic. Like, when you think about it, what we want for these guys, we want these guys to fucking just have these bloodbaths, right? We want these guys to just like fight to the death and just have these insane fucking gladiator wars. We don't even really take into consideration what the athletes are going through. We don't really take into consideration what it would mean for them to take a fight like this. Like, I'll use John Jones versus Tom Aspinall as an example. We want to see John Jones fight Tom Aspinall. Some of us guys that are fucking hating want to see John Jones get fucking put out, bro. Some of us want to see a new era in the heavyweight division without Jones fucking holding on to that shit with his beer belly and his fucking angry ass Twitter rants. But when you think about it, I just burped, fellas. For John Jones, taking that fight wouldn't be a very smart move. It is actually better for John Jones' career to not take the Tom Aspinall fight. But just because we just want to see some fucking war, we want to see some blood, we don't really care about that. We just want to see this guy, guy get his fucking block knocked off. But once again, the fans can definitely be a factor, because I guess they low-key don't care too much about, a good majority of them don't care too much about the fighter's well-being. They just want to see some blood. And that could be a factor for Curtis Blaydes, being that he's going to be around a whole bunch of Tom Aspinall fans when he's doing this. So the question is he good at disappointing people? Thirdly, he is a bit flat-footed. He has decent stand-up, like I said, but he doesn't really have that, bouncy footwork, you know what I mean? He doesn't really have the agility that Tom Aspinall does. You know how Tom Aspinall is kind of like bouncing and hopping up and down? And it's good too, because it helps Aspinall get a good sense of rhythm. It helps him be a bit unpredictable. It helps him at closing the distance. I think being flat-footed could potentially harm Curtis, and it could make him vulnerable and susceptible to low kicks, which you could counter with a takedown, but it could leave his legs open. And for Aspinall being the guy that was probably going to want to, Blaydes is going to want to close distance as well to shoot for takedowns, but Aspinall is going to want to close distance to go in for the striking. I think that could work against Curtis, and when you have Tom Aspinall's bouncy rhythm as opposed to Curtis Blaydes', I'm going to steal some vernacular from Lucas Tracy, his fucking plotty ass footwork. I think that could work against him, against somebody who's as agile as Aspinall. His keys to victory: straight up wrestling pressure, bro. Wrestle fuck the shit out of Aspinall. Don't worry about the Manchester fans being like, boo. They're gonna boo you anyways, brother, okay? Fuck those guys. You're here for you. You're not here for them. So use your wrestling, bro. Just pressure the fuck out of Aspinall. Let's see what he's like on the bottom. Make him work. Make him use his energy. I bet if you gas Aspinall out, if you make him tired, it's going to take away from some of his speed. which will make him significantly less dangerous into his second key to victory, the later rounds. He should take it to the later rounds, utilize the fact that he has experience in this stuff, and Aspinall doesn't. Just tire the fuck out of Aspinall, bro. Use your wrestling, tire him the fuck out, get on top of him, use that fucking weight, bro. Just... yeah. On Aspinall's end, he just straight up has to finish the guy and try to get it done quick. Aspinall's most ideal situation is to make this a quick night and to just get out of there relatively unscathed. Curtis Blaydes is gonna have to make it a long, grueling, arduous night for Aspinall. He's just gonna have to get on top of him, hit him with those elbows, hit him with that grounded pound, tire him out, and it'll probably. If Aspinall has less energy and he has less cardio on him, that'll probably make him more open in his stand-up and, like I said, take away his speed. Thirdly, he should counter the leg kicks. This is a very specific key to victory. When I was watching your first fight, I noticed in the 15 seconds that the fight was, Aspinall was throwing some leg kicks and Curtis Blaydes was countering it with straight shots down the pipe. I also noticed in Aspinall's fight against Pavlovich that when Pavlovich was able to clip him with a good shot, it happened after Aspinall threw a leg kick. I believe that if we're talking about the striking defense and weaknesses in Tom Aspinall's stand-up, it'd probably be best to attack him when or after he throws a leg kick, because I believe that he's vulnerable during those instances. It's very specific, very fucking acoustic, but what do I know, fellas? So, who you got? I mean, it's gonna be a good-ass fight, bro. I'm honestly considering whether or not I'm gonna get lit with my boys and watch that shit at the bar, or if I'm just gonna fucking get lit in my room and watch that shit on an illegal stream. Please don't sue me. But it's gonna be a good fight. I'm looking forward to it. Honestly, I think UFC 304 is a pretty solid card. We got some good fights. You got Manel Kape versus Muhammad Mokaev. We got Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze. We got some solid fights, bro. People will shit on the main event because I forgot what that guy's name is, versus Headshot Dead! Headshot Dead! Headshot Dead! But when you think about it, all the other fights in the card are relatively good. I think it'll be entertaining. And not to mention that Leon and Bilal have some bad blood. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow, guys. I'm sorry for uploading this and recording it a bit late. What can I say? I'm a bit of a lazy ass nibba sometimes, but shit happens. I'm going to be doing a video for Umar Nurmagomedov versus Corey Sandhagen. I'm very excited for that fight. I think it has very widespread implications, and stylistically, I really want to see that display of martial arts. So, looking forward to some bomb-ass fights in the future. Thank you for watching this shit. We're definitely working on some new diverse content for this channel and for my brand, period. And I'll definitely be giving you guys some updates on the type of stuff that I'll be uploading on here. Take it easy, fellas.